After being the victim of the British for years, our great country of the United States of America finally became its own on July 4th, 1776. Our founding fathers fought to be free of religious persecution, unfair treatment, and an unequal government. This fight through conflict became one of the most well-known struggles and strikes pride in Americans all over the country. This history, along with other American milestones, can be seen firsthand in the District of Columbia. Each street seems to be coded in history, whether it shows signs of the suffragist movement or the abolitionists. DC shows how standing up for what you believe in can cause huge beneficial changes. The Holocaust was an atrocious event, but given the conflict, many people rise to help those suffering. Chief of Police Angelos Avert of Athens, Greece, helped save many Jews from deportation. He would issue them fake IDs, thus protecting them from persecution. Maurice Lambert was a 15-year-old student in Paris. He was arrested on June 9, 1942 for his protest. The protesters would wear stars with the names of their anti-authoritarian youth groups on them. Théophile Leroux was a policeman in Paris who warned his neighbors of the roundup and then hid them inside his home. He also helped them flee. Others acted against the Nazis simply by helping their friends survive secretly. All he had to do was tell us to get lost, and he would never have seen us again. He never did. He fed us all along. But as Elie Wiesel said, "For the dead and the living we must bear witness." On August 26, 1920, the 19th Amendment to the Constitution was ratified. This amendment gave women the right to vote after an almost century-long fight. The demand for this right was first seriously considered at the Seneca Falls Convention in 1848. In 1869, the 15th Amendment proposing the right for African Americans to vote was considered. This brought about two sides of the suffragists. Half of the group believed that once it was ratified, women would receive their rights. The other half refused to endorse it since women weren't included. This caused women to form two separate groups, the National Women's Suffrage Association and the American Women's Suffrage Association. In 1890, these two groups merged to become the National American Women's Suffrage Association. In the same year, Wyoming became the first state with women's suffrage. As the former leaders grew older, newer, more radical women stood up to take their place. The new leaders to face the conflict included people such as Alice Paul and Lucy Burns. Paul and Burns worked to organize the National Women's Party, being too extreme for the National American Women's Suffrage Association. This party used bold methods, such as mass marches and hunger strikes. This movement ended with the passing of the 19th Amendment. It started out with slavery. Then the Civil War came and the African Americans were finally given their freedom. However, they were not given equality. African Americans could not even drink out of the same water fountains as the whites. In 1954, the first breaks towards equality occurred. The courts overturned the separate but equal doctrine with the Brown versus Board of Education case. This case ruled against school segregation. In 1955, Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat on the bus to a white passenger. Her arrest caused a large stir, earning her the name of the Mother of the Freedom Movement. Her brave refusal also led to the Montgomery bus boycott. The African Americans refused to ride the buses, causing economic problems until 1956, when the United States Supreme Court ruled that the segregated buses were unconstitutional. In 1963, the March on Washington occurred with more than 200,000 people, making it the largest civil rights demonstration ever. At this event, Martin Luther King Jr. gave his famous "I Have a Dream" speech. Civil rights continue to be pursued by different groups with leaders like Alice Paul and Martin Luther King Jr. serving as guides to the young leaders of today. With the suffragist movement and the move towards civil rights, it is obvious that America really is the land of the free and home of the brave. So when you think of leadership in conflict, remember how these people simply stood for what they believed in and helped to make the world a better place.